everybody agrees that we don't want a bunch of species going extinct. The part of the question is, how do we determine what's actually happening with a species, and what do you do about it? And that comes down to the science. What did you find? What was being looked at in terms of dealing with the science related to the ESA?
Absolutely. And Representative Tom McClintock, to his credit, has really taken the lead on that. And his bill addresses the science and requires that they actually utilize the best available science. And
Shocking, shocking. Why would
shocking.
they want to do that?
Yeah, and that's actually in the statute, but unfortunately, it's just been ignored. And you know, again, extremist groups on the left have used their own pamphlets or their own journals and called that the best available science. It's never been peer reviewed. So Representative McClintock's bill requires the science to be published on the internet so it can be available to the public. It can be peer reviewed. Um, and it also requires that the agencies no longer just ignore states and tribal governments and local governments. That's a big problem that we've seen in the past. So the states, they have this data, they probably know their species and lands better than the federal government, and they submitted this data, and the agencies have just ignored it and not told them why they're ignoring it. So Representative McClintock's bill, fixes those issues, and it's good transparency, good government bill.
So basically, what's been happening under Obama was they just did whatever the heck they wanted to do based on the advocacy groups that were pushing it, and they ignored what the local government said. They ignored what the science said. They ignored what the tribes said. They ignored what actually the people who had a stake in what the outcomes were said related to the science and the species, and essentially imposed top-down solutions, which basically didn't have bringing the species back as the top priority, but instead had changing the development and making it so people couldn't actually coexist with the species in many, many areas.